Now I want to talk about time-lapse cameras. And why do I want to talk about time-lapse cameras is because I actually use a fair amount of time-lapse myself when I'm doing things because there are many things in construction that you want to follow over time. And so it's really nice if you could do something like this. Look at my computer. And here is rain gutter on my house filled with a foam that we were testing to see how well it kept the leaves out. And this is a 6-day period of time. So there are a lot of photos going by. But as you can see, the leaves all came and then they dried up and then the wind came and they're all gone. That to me tells a wonderful, wonderful story when you can just tell it in time lapse like that. Now, the problem is, I did that with a birdwatch camera that I had. It's called Timescapes Cam. Comes from Wingscapes is the name of the company. It's not bad. It did that. But its biggest problem is you got to look through this little hole in the back and look through to line up to what you're going to shoot on the other side. I think you can even see my finger, my hand over here on the other side. Well, the matter of fact, it doesn't line up too well. And I got really discouraged when I set it up and took a month's shot of building a deck. And all I got was heads walking by while they were building the foundation and feet walking across to the top. I hadn't lined it up right, and I didn't get a single shot of the deck in a month. And then another time, you open this thing up, and it has some controls and everything in here, but it's really hard to push the start button and know it's really started. It has a light, but it's not clear. It goes on, goes away. You don't know if it went off. So another time I shot leaves in a gutter for a month and came back. It never got turned on. Second thing that has a problem is the batteries run out fairly fast. And if you try to get to a fancy little, here's the thing you may not know about. This might be interesting to you. I think you can see this. It's called an iFi SD card. It actually is a Wi-Fi broadcaster in it. So you put it in any camera and then you can pick it up on your computer through the Wi-Fi connection. And the only problem with it, it burns through batteries. So that didn't do too good. Well, I've got fancy cameras, and I thought this little guy, you may not recognize this when it's dressed like that. If we dress it in its case, you may recognize it more. This is the well-known GoPro, and it is in a waterproof case. Is fantastic, except that for time lapse, it'll only do a maximum 1 minute times. That's a lot of pictures. I actually calculated this. Those leaves that I shot there were 1,800 photos for those leaves. So when you do time lapse, it makes a lot of pictures. And so we get into a problem of filling up the disk on this, but mostly the battery wouldn't last. So I checked into, okay, I can get a gadget to put in the place of the battery and have a power pack coming from a solar panel for about $400. That was getting pretty pricey just to make that work, and it still didn't do what I wanted. So it took me all summer to finally find out, going all over the web and all kinds of stores, I finally came up with this thing, which is made about an hour down the street from me in Quebec. It's a Quebec product, and it's actually called Spy Point, and this is the Spy Point solar model. A solar panel on the top, rechargeable battery inside, so even if it does run out of batteries next day, it'll work. It'll pick up from where it left off. You can do any time lapse you want with it. So, and it has lights on here that are hidden by a shield, so it will light up at night. An animal will see sort of a red glow, but it won't scare them because it's filtered by that. But from 100 feet away, it'll light up the animal. It's actually made for hunters. And it has a motion detector, but lots of good things. So when I turn it on, what nice thing here is that I get a screen. And the screen is not only an index as to what you're going to do, is that it'll preview what you're going to be shooting. So you can see my studio back here as I'm in there, which means I can set this up and actually push the button and test what I'm shooting so I know I'm going to get it right. So this is something that might be very interesting. It's about $300, but that's less than the power pack for the GoPro. Now I want to show you a couple of pictures here, actually a whole bunch of pictures here. These are pictures to show you Caesar's palace. Caesar is the name of my cat. Yes, so Caesar has a heated palace in the backyard, just outside the patio door. And it is interesting when you take this kind of camera, even if you're not doing time lapse, you get to see things like this. And what is kind of interesting here, if you look, I have my date so that I know this was on the 13th of November. 022, it was just after midnight, and it was minus 14 outside. Now, so the cat was coming home, heading up to go to sleep. So 5:28, well, the cat had 5 hours sleep. It's time to go out and check on his domain, his royaume. And so he went by, well, when did he come back? 6:13, he was only gone an hour. Interesting, I discovered he leaves every night for an hour. I don't know what her name is, but he leaves every night for an hour and comes back like the teenager, sneaking out and then getting back in before you know. There I am, welcoming him in the morning, and here he comes, happy to get in at 7:30. So you see, you get all these details. 18, that's at 6:30, and he comes home at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and off to bed. No, back out. Look at that, 1 minute. He was just thirsty, and then he's gone again. Back about 11 o'clock, up at 2:45. Oh, now he's sort of like not in a hurry. Off to find out what's going on. Back at 3:45, his 1 hour visit, and then back in the house. It's amazing what you can do with these motion capture cameras, whether you're watching birds or animals, or you want to know, was that a skunk that went by last night? They're really useful, and if you're into construction, set it up on a post, leave it there for a long time, and you get to see the whole thing built, just like sometimes you see in the fancy YouTube videos. You can do it yourself. It is interesting that I finally found something that I really can recommend, a Quebec product that, and in the links down below, it'll get you to it, but it's Spy Point Solar. They make a lot of others, but that's the one that's really useful for construction type of stuff.